Guy wouldn't even give me 10 points.
Shot.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, he's safe. He's
I like
in
his
to
move.
the right side of his ring.
Short,
Take his
compact.
two
Yeah.
putt.
Ooh.
Ooh, man.
Come on.
Man.
It looks good here.
Come
You guys
on.
on fire.
Come on.
Dialed.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, that one's 500. So we're in for
See the
1,000 right
cast at the
now.
top?
Points do not carry over, by the way.
Cast.
For everyone wondering at home.
Did you catch what Tiger was talking about there? It probably went a little too fast for your eye. Some of you may have caught it, but let's slow it down and look at Max Homa here, face on with the iron. Now, this is one of the biggest things that if you're going to ever be a proper ball striker, the difference between amateurs and pros at the top, I see this almost daily, that this left wrist begins to break down and cup at the top, and the club ends up way over here. Because that's the only way that you're going to get that much wrist cock angle, lag angle, is allowing that wrist to cup a little bit, and that gives you way more mobility in your wrist. And amateur golfers think that they need to do that for power, and all it does is ends up forcing you to scoop and flip at the bottom. Because if you cup this wrist, you're going to open the face, and as you come down, the face is going to be open, and you're going to sense that, and you're going to start trying to flip it, because that's an effective way to start squaring the face. But of course, you get no compression on the ball, it spins, and blah, blah, blah. If you look at Max, he's super wide, and as Tiger talked about, he's getting wider. This is what I was talking about in the GOAT Code video series that I just released this week, and you can see that so evident here that he's trying to get that club head back out in front of his body and makes a super, super wide swing. And look how clean he clips this ball. I know a lot of people made fun of Tiger saying, "Oh, I don't take divots when I hit the ball well." I hate taking divots. I love clipping the ball like this, and this is a beautiful strike. And the way that you create this type of strike of the ball where it's this clean with a really, really shallow angle of attack is you got to be wide, and you got to start getting wide immediately, as I was talking about in the GOAT Code, this was the key that unlocked me being able to swing so similarly to Tiger Woods' 2000 swing that you saw in the last video, is by being wide. And you can see Max keeps maximum width throughout his entire swing. That's what pulls him around to this follow through. And Max is not alone. Take a look at T-Dub. Tiger Woods in the same era, early 2000s, massive width in the backswing, flat wrist at the top, like we're going to talk about in just a moment, how to get there. And then notice, again, like you could hang clothes on this. It's so perfectly flat. But he's not trying to narrow on the way down. Watch what's moving first. What do you see? Is he firing his hips from the top as fast as he can? His hips have barely moved at all. There's definitely some rotation for sure, but this is the part that's overemphasized and missed. That golf club, the club head, has moved way, way more. He's working to get this club head out in front of his body. And this is what we're going to talk about in just a moment, of how to not only get this type of width at the top of your backswing and have that club face square and realize that you don't need to cup that wrist and get a ton of wrist set for power in the swing, because it just makes you require so much more timing and great hands to try and square that thing coming down. The GOATs knew that they needed to have a very simple swing that was very repeatable, and you can see that clearly here. Tiger's body, his shoulders are still shut, his hips are barely square. He is focusing on getting that club head back in front of his body. And when he was playing his best, this was what he did better than anybody. And that was exactly the trick that allowed me to start swinging so similarly to Tiger. If you look at another clip here, this is him back in the day with a wedge. I think a wedge short iron here. And man, he was so good with his wedges back then. Man, he was good. Notice how wide he is here. Amateur golfers think that they need to take every single club back to here in order to have any power in the swing. But if you start throwing from the top, look, what's moving first here? What do you see? Club head. Club head. He's widening, maintaining width in the swing. What's cool is obviously studying the GOATs, the greatest golfers of all time. I went way back, long before even Tiger, long before Sam Snead. But here's a clip of Sam Snead, and I love this golf swing because this epitomizes what we're talking about in the GOAT Code. Notice how wide he is at the top. This is with the driver. Now, Sam's probably a little bit older in his age at this point, so maybe he didn't have the same flexibility or what have you. But you can see just how wide he is with his wrist. He's keeping that club head from getting way behind him, keeping him from opening his face. And the left hand, the lead hand, plays such an important role in maintaining this width and making it so much easier to get the club back down in front of you. And that is what this first video in the GOAT Code series is about. And I want to share it with everybody totally free because it'll help you start to understand why golf has been so damn hard for you, because it really isn't hard when you understand just these basic principles of how to move the golf club and what's moving. Look at Sam. Is he firing his hips as hard as he can? Sam's the Sam Snead squat, which he did long before the Tiger squat. You can see very clearly that he's not trying to turn his hips fast. He's trying to get that club head back out in front of his body. And what a beautiful golf swing he had. But it was all about maintaining width. Let's take a look at Tiger here doing the same thing. As I pointed out in the first video, Tiger Woods has swung the same way since he was at least 5 years old. So here he is back at the USAM at Sawgrass, and watch as how he brings the club down. First of all, notice the width. He's not getting anywhere near parallel, and obviously he is, in terms of flexibility at that age, that dude was flexible back then. Very, very limber, not muscular at all. He was able to make as long of a swing as he wanted to, but he didn't need to produce speed and power. What he's doing, tell me what you see. Watch how much the club head moves. Let's just put a little circle around it here real quick. Here's where the club head is, and then here's where his left hip is. Look at how much that club head has been thrown from the top, just like Nicklaus said, just like Mike Austin said back in the day. And I think Nicklaus even quoted Mike Austin at one point and said he was a phenomenal ball striker. He had a big hip turn, a little bit different style than Tiger. I'm much more simple. I want my hips to be pretty quiet. But you can see the exact same motion. Notice how wide he's getting that club. He's literally, the only way to do that is to start to extend the wrist from the top of the swing. And that's what this first video is. So for the next couple of days, I'm going to leave this video open and free for everybody. I've put the link down in the description below, and I've pinned it in the comments so you can get access to it. So if you want to start understanding what the GOATs really did in their swing and stop firing your hips, wrecking your back, hurting your shoulders, hurting your hips, all of that stuff, click the link down in the description. And on Saturday morning, this Saturday morning, which is February, I think the 3rd, I'm going to be live from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. answering questions on YouTube. So any questions you post down in the comments for those couple hours about this first video, I'll be happy to answer them. And hopefully we can get you starting to swing like the greatest golfers of all time.